It's time for the greatest party on grass. We head on over to TPC Scottsdale for the 2026 WM Phoenix Open. What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. We are back with another week of the 19th hole. I've got Mike back on the show with me. Mike, how are you doing this week? How was Torrey for you?
I'm doing great. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get to play.
True.
Didn't make a lot of money, but it is a beautiful thing to watch on TV.
Yeah, it's, as our betting family members will know, I had a pretty good week overall, about a 10-unit positive week. So really can't complain. For those of you who tailed me on Tony Finau, you're welcome. That was the easiest cash out. It was probably the only one I haven't had to sweat in a long time. But as I bring up the family, if you guys are not familiar with what I'm talking about, I am talking about the IBT Golf family. When you join for free, you get to have the conversations with other viewers of the channel, as well as our analysts, and you get free entry into our memorabilia giveaways. If you upgrade that membership for either $3.99 a month or $36 for the year, you get access to our exclusive weekly betting model that I put together. You get our weekly full golf betting cards, as well as all of the picks that we are making every single week. And for free, you can enter into our one and done contest. This one and done contest starts Thursday. So if you are interested, make sure to join at in-betweenmedia.com/chat and join that one and done contest to get your chance to win one of the prizes, like a $75 Dick's gift card or 50% off your ticket to the 2027 IBT Classic, which is our golf outing that we host every year at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. With our membership as well, you don't just get access to the golf family. We have the football family, the racing family, as well as the entertainment family. So make sure you don't miss out. Like I said, if you've been tailing me on the golf picks, you're already up 8 units on the year. We've more than paid for your membership. So make sure you don't miss any of that and join via the link in the episode description. But Mike, that's enough of the plugging, the selling. We're going to keep doing it. Don't get me wrong.
Can I ask you something? Do you think Tony Finau's got a win in the tank this year?
I could see it. It's the first time in a couple of years where I feel like I can see it.
Okay. I need that.
It feels like his game's starting to come back around. The biggest thing for me with Finau is just like over putts, he looks confident. And that's not something we've seen in a while. It's no more of this like wiggling the toe up and down and taking it up and out and back and in. It just looks simplified, which is going to be great to see. But speaking of wins, we have a couple that we need to talk about. So let's head on over to the news Niblick. Now, I am not a dad of human children, but I am a dog dad. So I love me a good dad joke. So, Mike, would you think it's fair to say that Justin rose to the occasion this weekend?
That might be the second best Rose pun you could have come up with. What is Jim Nance's call at the U.S. Open? Something like the Rose rises in winter or something like that. I probably should have looked it up before the show. But yes, there are plenty of them.
Yeah, well, Justin Rose certainly rose to the occasion. First wire-to-wire winner at Torrey Pines at the Farmers Insurance Open in 71 years. Don't think anybody knew that starting on the tee box that record was in reach there. Set the scoring record as well. Just an absolute masterclass from a guy who looked like he'd kind of lost something, at least during the opening round of the Amex.
All right, let's talk about Justin Rose a little bit. First of all, I mean, this guy has been at it for 30 plus years. I remember being a kid watching Justin Rose, as a 17-year-old, coming down the fairway in the Open Championship. And this is the thing I want people to understand about Justin Rose. This guy is a freak about his physical and mental approach to golf at age 45. And I hope, Jake, at some point in the 19th hole season here, we get to actually dig into some of the psychology of golf, because that's where my real passion lies. But this guy is doing the hard work. As a mid-40s dad of all things. Like, he's got a family, and he's accomplished a lot in his golf career. And when he tells you that he's got something in the tank, you got to listen to him. Have you seen his like health truck that he travels
his recovery vehicle? Yep, I was about to bring
cold
it up.
plunge, sauna, steam room, spin bike, tanning bed to take naps in to just recharge his cells. Like, he is doing all the things that allows a 45-year-old to be the best shape of their life, possibly playing the best golf of his life, getting 180 mile an hour ball speed, hitting it, 30 yards past guys a fraction of his age. And so we shouldn't be surprised that Justin Rose is going to. Now, I'm surprised that he shot 21 under, and
23 under, I think
23 under, and he wins by 7 strokes on a championship golf course. Like, I am surprised by that. I'm not surprised that this guy's now the number 3 player in the world at age 45,
right?
And doing these things that, frankly, guys get to this age and they move on. And so I take it seriously when he says, I got something left in the tank and I'm playing for majors in the twilight of my career. I'm not going to be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, you look at him, like you look at what Justin Rose was for a while, even when he wasn't necessarily winning, like he'd still have those boom weeks, but he'd also, like 2003, was still playing pretty well, but like 2004, he started to, miss cuts more frequently. He would have a boom week here or there, like at the Open Championship in 24, a T2. And then you look at him and, over the last year, he's got, he tied for 3rd at Pebble Beach, top 10 at the Arnold Palmer, 2nd at the Masters, 16th at the Open, wins the St. Jude Championship, wins again less than 6 months later at the Farmers. Like, 45 years old, he might as well still be 25. Like, he's playing like a 25-year-old.
Who did Rory beat in a playoff last year at the Masters?
That was Rose. Yeah, that was Rose.
I mean, like,
yeah.
How quickly we forget that he is competing at the highest level very, very recently.
Yeah, and just an absolutely stellar week, gained nearly 8 strokes with the irons. Like, if you do that most weeks, you're gonna be in contention. And if you do it like Justin Rose did, you can just win a golf tournament by a record-setting number. Speaking of guys winning, Ian Holt, you might want to hold your horses, but he's got back-to-back wins. He is about to have he's like 3 starts into his Korn Ferry Tour career and is 1 good tournament away from just skipping the rest of the Korn Ferry Tour season and getting onto the PGA Tour via the 3-win exception, which is, did anybody see this coming? I don't think so. He didn't have a great Korn Ferry Tour year last year, didn't qualify through Q School, comes out in the Bahamas, ties for 22nd in the first event of the year, and then just goes back-to-back at the Bahamas again and the Panama Championship.
I tried to familiarize myself with Ian Holt before coming on. Yes, he is doing things that haven't been done on Korn Ferry. He's got 46 Korn Ferry starts in his career. No PGA Tour starts, no major appearances. He's 30 years old. Played golf at Kent State. In high school and college, he filled beanbags in a beanbag factory to just kind of make ends meet and fund his college education, and then has been doing the journeyman. He's been all over the place. PGA Tour Americas, Latin America, Canada, Korn Ferry, basically making it work. And I'm trying to figure out, like, is this guy, does he got family money? Is he bankrolled? Because a lot of times that's what happens is right. Guys can run this pipe dream for 8-9 years because they got someone funding the grind. But all I could find is this guy has been grinding, like sleeping in his car, grinding. And you show up out of nowhere and you win the 2 out of the first 3 events of the year. And you're right, you're 1 step away from locking up a PGA Tour card. I mean, we talked about this the last time I was on. It is like, that's the thing about golf, is it just takes a couple good weeks to kind of to turn your life around, whatever level, professional or otherwise. So I don't know. I think it's super cool when these stories come up. I'm pulling for the guy. I'll check the Korn Ferry standings probably week to week to see if he's going to compete. But What a cool story for a guy that's been out there grinding.
Yeah, it's incredible to see. Like, you look through his career on Data Golf, like he's gotten a few PGA Tour starts here and there, never really, I don't even think he made the cut in any of them. And then just to rattle off a streak like this, if he were to get another win this year, he would be just the 13th player in Korn Ferry Tour history to get their card via the 3-win exemption. First one since Matt McCarty, just back a couple years ago in 2024. But before McCarty, Jason Gore in 2005 was the last person to do it. He also holds the record for the least amount of events taken to do that, with just 11 Korn Ferry Tour events to his name before he won 3. Obviously, Ian Holt's got a few more Korn Ferry events under his belt, but to see him do it, like we could be talking next week about Ian Holt being a PGA Tour card earner, which is crazy to see.
Super cool.
Speaking of something not so cool, but kind of cool at the same time, Nelly Korda won without swinging a golf club on the last day. That's pretty cool.
Wyndham Clark won without swinging the golf club on the last day. You know, this stuff happens, but I think we got to break down kind of where you stand on this. So I meant to ask you a question. We're both Midwesterners. I'm a little more north than you. What is the coldest round of golf you've ever played?
I played a turkey trot a couple years ago, and we were like the second team off in the morning, and I want to say it was like 21 degrees when we teed off.
21 is pretty extreme.
It warmed up, like by like midday it was up to like mid 30s, but we teed off at 7 a.m. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes in the summer you can tee off at 7 a.m. in Illinois and you're like, oh, it's 58. It's kind of chilly right now. But yeah, 21 was a little excessive. But hey, we didn't win, but we had a lot of beverages, and that was fun.
That'll keep you warm. Unfortunately, I don't think the LPGA Tour players could use the same beer blanket you were. But look, here's the, now it was a little warmer in Orlando. Cold, very cold by Orlando standards. But the LPGA is in a position where they can't win. This was lose-lose for them.
Right.
They send the players out, and we talked about the players showed up and the ground is frozen. You got balls bouncing on the putting green. And actually there are parts of the golf course that stayed pretty frozen through the afternoon, areas in the shade under trees and whatnot. And so you send the players out, you're going to have players griping that they're either causing injury, hitting off a frozen turf, or the ball's taking weird bounces. You don't send them out, and it warms up to 44 degrees in the afternoon. And unfortunately, the celebrity side of the golf tournament continues.
Right.
And now you have this interesting backdrop of why can these guys and gals play, but not the professional gals. And so I think my personal take on this is they should have played.
I agree.
But the LPGA didn't have a good choice in this. And they said, we had to use the information we had. But at the end of the day, I think they should have been sent out and said, hey, they're professional athletes. This kind of stuff happens in golf. Otherwise, we'd play it in a dome.
Right.
So let the elements affect the play. And, hey, it's great that Nelly wins. Unfortunately, she's not going to play again until mid-March. Right. So this ends up like a really weird situation for her, certainly. But I definitely think they should have gone out.
I agree. But, even on the flip side of things, like for her, you still have to feel good after 8 wins in 2024, gets shut out in 2025, starts off 2026 on a good note, played some great golf, shot 8 under on Saturday. Like, you played a great round of golf. Like, you deserve to be in first place. Like, and I know she doesn't feel good about it either, right? Like, these are competitors through and through. They want to get out there. They want to play. But, it is one of those things where, like, they're going to send you the check. You're not going to turn it away. You're going to get the trophy. You're not going to throw it in the dumpster on the way out of the course. Like,
And the funny thing is that this is Orlando,
right?
And we're talking about temps in the 40s, touch and freezing overnight, whatever, but in the 40s. Like, that's where I get a joke out of this being a Midwest golfer. Like, we've played in conditions, snow on the golf course, hail, all those things. And so you do get a little bit of a chuckle out of it.
Definitely do. But with that being said, let's not waste any more time. We know why the people are here. They're here to talk about the WM Phoenix Open. So let's get the caddy notes ready. we head on over to I did it again. I keep calling this place TPC Sawgrass. I'm so bad at this. It's TPC Scottsdale. It's the stadium course.
Great course comp, though. Maybe that's the bit. We just go with the course comps when we do the caddy notes.
We'll take it. Thank you for making me feel better. Ignore the graphic on the screen, people. This is TPC Scottsdale Stadium Course, located, as the name implies, in Scottsdale, Arizona. You would think that would make it easier for me to remember it, but this is the third podcast I've done it on this week. Playing at a par 71, just a hair over 7,200 yards. We have overseeded Bermuda fairways, overseeded with ryegrass and fescue, and then greens, Poa trivialis over there. But Mike, take me through your breakdown of the course. I know you've got some fun facts about this venue.
Well, I mean, it's such a treat. Obviously, this time of year, we get a lot of this. This is a golf course that we have both tons of data on, as well as tons of memories and cultural obsession. This is the 41st instance of the WM Phoenix Open. It's gone through a number of name changes at TPC Scottsdale. This course was effectively built to host this tournament starting back in 1987, the year I was born. So it's really fun to say I've had a lifetime of memories watching this tournament on TV. And it is the second longest running tournament behind TPC Sawgrass in the Players Championship at a TPC course. So as bettors, we get a ton of data, and as golf fans, we get something really familiar to come back to every year. Before we get into what it takes to play well at TPC Scottsdale, I do have to ask you, there's a lot of stuff that goes on. I've never been to this event. I would love to go one time. I've never been to it. But we got all kinds of, like I said, cultural phenomenon going on. You got the beer snakes on 16 that get longer and longer every year. You have that, every time someone hits a bad shot on 16, I think they go, one of us. Yeah. And then, of course, the running of the bros, in which you have the mad dash to get the 16th hole from the entrance. It's really just, it's got to be as good of people watching as you can possibly get on the PGA Tour. So the question I have for you is, how much is too much? Where do you draw the line?
I think probably after the hole-in-one, was that last year, 2 years ago, where they littered the green with beer cans, probably a little too much. But I mean, past that, like when you think of what this tournament is, right? Like it is the most attended tournament in all of professional golf. As many as 500,000 people are going to come through. They've had as many as 200,000 people there on a single day. Like it's huge for the game of golf. Like having an event like this that is truly, like, I have friends who are not golfers, hate golf, don't even want to go to Top Golf with me, who go to this event and have a great time. And, over time, they've gotten more of a love for golf. They enjoy it more. They get the appeal behind it. Obviously, this is an extreme example. This is basically what the entirety of the Live Tour is trying to be. But, this is TPC Scottsdale does it right. And like when you have the Coliseum, that's a legendary hole. Like you'll have guys out there wearing Arizona State jerseys to go tee off. All of the Arizona State guys are huge, like figures there. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to do the Mad Dash. Even if I go to the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Seth, if you're listening, send me and Mike next year. It'd be a great time. You get a lot of really funny content. Maybe see Jake drunk on a golf course. No, wait, most people have.
I was going to say, yeah, that sounds like that might just be every time.
Not every time. Depends on how bad I want to improve my handicap on any given day. But yeah, I'm not doing the Mad Dash, but like this is great for golf. And that's where I think like you can get away with a lot of the craziness. Is it's not, this isn't every week. This is truly like a once a year opportunity to go out and like be a part of a 500,000 person party on a golf course.
I think you got your spot on. It's important that the PGA Tour preserves this event. I also love the spot on the calendar. This thing is on Super Bowl Sunday every year. And so you get this, it's already a sports obsessed weekend, and you add in this, it's just, it just creates sort of a perfect entry into that event and all the things around the betting and the consumption and the celebration. It's in a really good spot. I actually would say, I think of this kind of like the purge, like do not dial back. As long as it doesn't affect the actual golf ball in motion, don't dial anything back.
Yeah.
Let it happen 1 week a year.
Don't get me wrong. throw splash beer on the green, honestly, I'm cool with that. Flying cans, maybe we're a little dangerous now, but
yeah,
I agree with you. It's a really fun event, one that I absolutely have to go to before my days are done. I'm wearing a People's Open sweater right now. Like, I love this event. Let's get more Super Bowls in Arizona, because that was awesome. Watching all the content that came from all of the podcasters and the content creators who were at TPC Scottsdale and then go straight over to the Super Bowl. That was sick. There was so much good content that came out of that. But enough about the rowdiness of the tournament. When it comes to TPC Scottsdale, there we go. Again, did it in both banners. I'm so good at this. But it's a pretty straightforward golf course. 7,000 square foot green complexes on average. So big, easy to hit greens. It's Poa Trivialis. It's going to be fast. It's going to be firm. It's going to play true. Because of the altitude, 1,500 feet above sea level, second highest course on the tour. It's the highest driving distance that we will see every single year, regularly breaking, 304, 305 yards on average. Funny enough, even though, wide fairways, they're going to roll forever. This tournament also has the third highest percentage of drives to find penalty areas of all PGA Tour events. So, it's straightforward into what you need to do, but the way the course is built, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to do it.
It is a TPC course, and so you do get that premium on driver placement off the tee. It's not necessarily about accuracy in hitting fairways. It's just avoiding the trouble.
Yep.
And especially down the stretch here, 15, 17, 18, you really need to make sure that you get the ball in the right spot. Like I said, it doesn't need to be in the fairway, it just needs to not be in the water. So go ahead and mash the golf ball. Like you said, this is a driver heavy golf course. This is a place where you want elite guys off the tee. But at the same time, we've seen guys that aren't incredibly long, but can get the ball in the hole with either above average iron play and then go lights out on putting. I'm thinking someone like Nick Taylor.
Right.
So I do have a premium on par 4 scoring this week. This is a par 71 with only 3 par 5s. So I do have a premium on par 4 scoring this week, a little bit on the shorter side, 450 to 500 yards. You do end up with quite a few shots in the proximity buckets, 150 to 175. So I am looking, and like I said, a pretty high green in regulation percentage because the greens are so big. One thing I thought was interesting was typically when you have 7,000 square foot greens and more, you want to look for 3-putt avoidance because you actually end up having quite a few 40, 50, 60 foot putts. 3-putt avoidance wasn't really a high correlation to success here. I'll probably mix it into my model, but it wasn't something that, I would over index on this week, despite having large greens. The other thing is we do see a pretty high correlation to success for scrambling, and especially scrambling off of tightly mown areas. You have pretty large runoffs here. And it's one of the reasons why I think Brooks Koepka had been pretty successful here before he made the live jump. And then another reason why we've seen Scottie Scheffler play pretty well is you put a premium on the ability to chip it close off of tight lies. And so I do really like weighting scrambling pretty heavy this week. And then I'm trying to come up with a statistic that I can mix in that helps me surface the dogs in a close match, because watching things like, Scottie Scheffler won a playoff a couple of years ago. Nick Taylor won in a playoff a couple of years ago. Thomas Dietrich obviously dusted the field. But 16, 17, 18 is a tough stretch. And you get the intensity of the Coliseum. You get a tricky tee shot on 17, and you get a tricky tee shot on 18. You want guys that you trust to be able to keep it, cool under pressure down the stretch, assuming this is going to be a pretty tight finish.
Definitely. Yeah. So we have very similar models this week. I did put a little extra emphasis this week on strokes gained off the tee, specifically on driver heavy courses. As you mentioned, we see a ton of drivers at this event. Last year, I believe it was 90% of tee shots were driver, which was far and away above PGA Tour average, which hovers around 72, 73%. So we're consistently seeing driver used. With that being in mind, and the the concept of the runoff, I do have short grass scrambling in mind as well, but I also added distance from fairway off the tee. So on misses, essentially how bad players are putting themselves in of a spot, because they're big, you can miss them. you can't miss them by a lot. Like there's still the desert areas to deal with. There's the complexes of the water that you have to deal with. There's a lot of situations that you can really find yourself struggling in. On the approach bucket, I did bump that up to about 200 yards. So 150 to 200 overall approach. About 40% of shots last year fell in that bucket. So, 50-yard bucket, 40% of shots are falling in. It's got to mean something to say the least. And then I also added eagle percentage to my model. Players who score a lot of eagles here do really well. And so I didn't weight it a ton. It's only like a 5% weighting in my model, but there's enough correlation there to have it be a legitimate separator if you're pretty close on a couple guys.
With only 3 par 5s, I mean, that ultimately is what happens. It's those guys that can have the disproportionate impact on the few par 5s that you have across 72 holes. I love that. Makes eagle percentage is, I feel more strongly about than birdies are better.
Yep. Yeah. When I focus on scoring, obviously, from a DFS perspective, it's super important, right? Those are what's going to get us points in our DFS lineups. But when we're trying to identify even guys to finish in the top 20, top 10, top 5 outright winners, like we need guys who could score. You just flat out need them. You need guys who can push the number, especially when you're in a world where Scottie Scheffler has like a 25% chance to win every tournament he enters. And like, that's just flat out the numbers is 25%. When you have a guy like that in the field every week who just doesn't finish outside the top 10, he's not going to lose an event. You are going to have to beat Scottie to win an event. And it's hard.
Probably a great segue for us to talk about a whole bunch of guys who aren't Scottie Scheffler.
It is. It's the perfect segue. So let's head on over and get those clubs twirling. Real quick, before we talk about the players, I did want to give a shout out to our sponsor, WannaParlay. WannaParlay creates a fun and exciting competition that connects people. It embodies the joy of winning, the heartbreak of almost winning, and all of the other emotions that you will experience during competition. If you're playing against Scottie Scheffler, it's probably the emotions you don't want to have because you know he's going to win. From the brains of 2 former Kansas State college football players, it's all about stacking legs, competing with real sports lovers like myself and Mike, and getting real cash wins every single day. You can 1,000 extra money and cash out fast. For those of you who are ready to get in the game and flex those parlay legs, download the app for iOS and Android, and you will get a 100% match bonus when you use code IBT at signup. That's right. Using code IBT at signup will get you a 100% match bonus at WannaParlay. The link is in the episode description. But we got to talk about the books here. I think they're actually pretty good this week. I really don't have many complaints. There's a couple guys that I felt like were really long, but in general, like I didn't have too many arguments to make about what I saw. Normally I see some outrageous numbers, and obviously you have certain books that are going to favor, you're going to find better odds at some books than you are at others, like Brooks Koepka. If you like Brooks this week, don't bet him on DraftKings, bet him on other ones, as much as we love DraftKings, but he's 3,200, 32 to 1 at DraftKings and 45 to 1 over at FanDuel. So, you do still have to shop the books, but a lot of it made sense. Do you feel Scottie at plus 225 is too good of odds? Like,
he was like 215 when it first opened up, so we're getting a little longer. It is interesting, the Scottie effect. This week we are seeing the numbers kind of pull in a little bit more closely. I am a little surprised Xander coming all the way down to 19 to 1. I think that's going to be interesting to talk about. It is going to get kind of old just talking about Scottie at 2 to 1, 3 to 1 every single week this season, which is absolutely insane. But I think we talked about this last time Scottie played. It opens up a ton of value as you get to the bottom half of the board. And the same thing happened at the Amex. And we're going to talk about some of these guys. You get some insane numbers on guys 300, 400, 500, 600 that have a path to win, or certainly have a path in a without Scottie market. And so it actually is kind of fun because the sprinkling on the bottom half of the board it could open up some really fun things here from a betting standpoint.
100%. So speaking on a guy like Xander Schauffele, he's not a pick per se for either of us that we're going to talk about on this episode, but I did want to talk about him in general. Like you mentioned, you can get him kind of between 17 to 1 and 20 to 1, pending the book here. Coming off a objectively pretty bad week last week, missed the cut at the Farmers, basically just didn't play well Thursday and forced him to have to play nuclear on Friday and was not able to. But when you're looking at Xander on the board here, he's got the history at this venue. He's never finished worse than 17th here. He's got 3 straight top 10s when he last played here as 2021, 22, and 23. And we know the kind of golfer that Xander can be. Do you feel more comfortable with him in kind of the ladder markets, your 5, 10, 20s, or are you feeling like there is some juice to squeeze there on the outright side of things?
I'm not looking to participate at 19 to 1 for Xander this week from an outright standpoint. Here's the deal. I'll let you in on a little secret. I have a number of alternative pools that I participate in through the wonderful guys over at Sandman Sports. One of them is a season-long Calcutta. We'll talk about that at some point for who I'm pulling in the Calcutta. Finau is one of them. The second thing I'm in is what it's called. He calls it the Stones pool. It is a Survivor one and done. And basically, you don't need to accumulate earnings. You just need to pick one player, use them once, and have them just make the cut. So we go to Farmers. This is the 3rd event of the year, and I dial up Xander. Mm-hmm. And Xander has I probably should have compared this. I don't know where he has more elite history, here or at the Farmers, but it's pretty good in either case. And he misses a 12-footer on 18 on the North course to miss the cut on the number. The first time he missed a cut in like 3.5 years. And so Xander's shaking off the rust. He's coming back from some paternity time. He had his first kid last fall. Not only do I not want Xander at 19 to 1, I just need to take a little bit of a break. And if the only place I might play him this week is in the DFS side, because I'm probably going to get like 6 to 8% ownership break on Xander outside of some of the other favorites, because people are going to look past him. But 19 to 1, I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's the same boat for me. And the odds don't get that much. They don't get to a point where it's like even, like top 5 paying basically 3.5 to 4 to 1. If you go all the way out to, top 20, he's minus money, like he's minus odds. There's just no benefit to betting him this week. I agree with what you said, like the history here. I'm going to put, plenty of weight in it. It's, the 5th most correlative course on tour year over year. Players who are good here are good here. Looking at his history between here and the Farmers, it is worse at the Farmers overall, just because he missed the cut at the Farmers in his first 4 starts. But otherwise, like very similar finishes year to year. He was runner up at both of them in 2021. So he's definitely got a little bit better history here of late. But like you said, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Who's the first guy down the board that starts to make sense for you?
Well, where it starts to make sense is pretty far down the board, but I'll give you where I'm going to start. And I'm going to start this week with Cameron Young. I picked him up at 2,700 at the beginning of the week. He's going to be a little bit shorter now on DraftKings. I think he's 2,400. Frankly, my analysis was even 2,700 wasn't really where I wanted to be taking Cameron Young. We're kind of used to getting him 70 to 1, 100 to 1 over the last year or two, where he's kind of been struggling. But he had a really brilliant fall, 5 straight top 11s to finish out his PGA Tour, takes a bit of a break. And then, he has 2 top 12s in his last 2 times out at the Phoenix Open. So you talk about guys that play well on a golf course year after year. He's starting to become one of those guys. This is a perfect golf course for Cameron Young.
Yeah.
Like, just hit the ball as far as you possibly can. He's an elite driver of the golf ball. If he can get it rolling on the greens, I think he's going to be in great shape. The only question is, it's kind of like Xander. He's coming off some extended family time. Mm-hmm. And this is a big venue to be able to show up, especially with Scotty Scheffler standing out there in front of you. You really got to bring your A game. So I want to start with Cameron Young this week, 2,700. But I don't feel great in the debut, but this is where I'm going to plant my flag up top.
Yeah, I agree. I'm in the same boat. Young, much like Xander, feels like a better DFS play for me. Just given these odds here. There's certainly some merit to him having success here. As you mentioned, win at the Wyndham, 5 straight top 11s to finish the year, comes out, plays well to start the year. Didn't putt that well, but historically is always putt lights out here. So, really over the last 2 years, the irons, when his irons are as good as they were in the fall, he's been fine. When they were not what they were, he still finished top 12 here. So he's got the upside, and so I do agree there. But I do agree with you. It's not my preferred place to start. It's probably just one of my favorites of this tier. My personal favorite of this pricing tier is Siwoo Kim. Much like you, prices were a little bit better when we got him earlier in the week at 30-1. He's sitting at 27-1 on DraftKings now. But I mean, you want to talk about great recent form on a golf course. Over the last 6 months, he's the world leader in strokes gained tee to green. Hard to beat that. When you look at his last 3 PGA Tour starts, runner-up finish at the Farmers, T6 at the Amex, T11 at the Sony. And then if you look at his last 32 competitive rounds on professional golf tours, he's been par or better in 31 of those rounds. Like, the guy is lights out right now. And when you're looking for somebody to beat Scotty, it needs to be somebody who's on a heater like a Siwoo Kim is, where they are scoring very, very well. He grades out well in pretty much every part of the model. Even when he starts to, falter a little bit in the model, it's mostly with the putter. And it's really not much of anything else. His iron play, specifically on courses with similar layouts to TPC Scottsdale, he's the leader in strokes gained on approach overall from that number. So there's a lot to really like about Siwoo, I think. And, now that it's down at 27-1, I don't feel as good about it, but 30-1 felt like a really clean number to be at on him.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just have the course comp at TPC Sawgrass, he's the guy that's got great history at TPC Sawgrass as well. So he plays these types of golf courses pretty well. And then again, like you said, he's a vet on tour. If you're going to come toe to toe with Scotty Scheffler down the stretch on this golf course, I think he's someone that could eke it out.
Definitely. And then the next guy that we both kind of identified in this tier is a guy that we're both sort of in on. Again, right around that 30-ish number. It's actually gone more in our favor now. He's going off at 29-1 on DraftKings. Best market odds, BetMGM and Bet365 have him at 33-1. But Ben Griffin, another guy who, fits this course well in a lot of ways.
He does, and he's doing all the things right to start the season. He obviously had a great 2025, and he comes out the Sony, finishes 19th, finishes 24th at the Amex. He's getting a ton of strokes around the greens, and then pretty steady in the rest of his game. I mean, he almost is becoming a bit of a 5-tool guy, even if he can't articulate how to hit a draw with the golf ball. Did you see that video?
Yes.
I thought it was hilarious. Like, I'm trying to become more of a Ben Griffin fan. I really struggle watching him swing the golf club. I think it was Chris Powers at Golf Digest at some point in the last couple of years is like, he swings with no regard for human life. Yeah. Like, it's just, there's so much funkiness in his follow through.
It's the head snap for me. It's like, when he gets into transition, as he starts, it's just his head just, I'm like, dude, you're gonna break your neck.
His hips kind of do a weird thing, but you know what? Like, this guy, he's doing all the things right. And I got a kick out of the fact that he asked him, "What's your thought process when you're trying to work the ball right to left?" And he was just like, "I don't really know what to tell you."
Yeah.
But he's doing, like I said, he's doing all the things right. And I think when you get into the models, it even starts to expose, like, against this field. I'm looking at him as second in the field in scrambling, which makes sense given his play already on the season. Fifth in the field in par 4 scoring, and 7th in birdies or better. And so some of those ancillary factors that you want to see, even if he's average in the field and driving distance, I have a tough time betting Ben Griffin and picking him up on the right weeks. But I think he's in a good spot right now for this event.
Definitely. Yeah. He's again, not our favorite guy to bet. We are probably going to have much stronger opinions about some guys down the board here, but this, him and Siwoo are kind of like, if you're betting on a favorite, a guy, sub 30-1 numbers, that's basically where my card starts and ends. Speaking on, a little bit farther down the board, I know there's a few guys that we both have some strong opinions on that may or may not be shared. You're going to have to keep watching to find that part out. But where do you kind of like to start at now? I'm sure we're starting to get to a point where, the board's starting to make a lot more sense for you.
Yeah, this is right. This is where I think if Scotty's not going to win, I think we can pick up somebody in the 60 to 70 to maybe even 100-1 range that we could get a little excited about. I'm looking right now at Keith Mitchell. Earlier in the week, he was a little bit longer. His odds actually bounced around a little bit. He was 6,300 on DraftKings. And it looks like you got him at 7,500 at Caesars.
Actually up to 80-1 now on Caesars.
Yeah, like I said, do your homework, do your shopping. This is a better number for me than what we were seeing earlier in the week and currently right now on DraftKings. Keith Mitchell. So he's got a sneaky T11 finish last week. I actually had him in my small DFS pool and then pulled him out after he has never made a cut at the Farmers. And then shows up, balls out, finishes T11, and you start digging in a little bit. And Keith is a fun guy to be early on because he is one of the top drivers of the golf ball on tour. And lo and behold, he's got 4 straight made cuts at the Phoenix Open, 25th, 17th, 42nd, 10th, the last 4 years. Tends to show up with very good iron play on this golf course, as well as his driver play, which is always good. And so I actually get pretty excited about Keith at 75-1. And frankly, like if there's going to be a guy that is not Scotty Scheffler that wins the WM Phoenix Open, let's let it be Killa Keith, Cashmere Keith, with all the nicknames he's got. He looks the part for winning this event.
Yeah, it's we see much of the same when it comes to him. I think probably I don't know why was the most surprising thing to me, but over the last, I think it was 18 months is what I ran it out. He has the highest percentage of drives over 320 yards. I know he can hit it far. I don't think I would have put any amount of money that he was even in the top 10 in that number.
It's one of those things where like I'm thinking way back to like right after he won the Honda, which God was I probably pull it up right here, but like it was
2019, I think
2019. I was gonna say 18 and maybe it was 2019. Got it right on. I remember this Golf Digest spread with the slow-mo kind of driver pick and all the phases of his golf swing. And just again, you don't need a lot of height in length to hit it far. You need a lot of lower body strength and ground force. And this guy makes great contact with the golf ball and hits it a mile.
Yeah. And statistically, like other parts of his game also line up really well for the event. The putter is really the question. It's kind of been the question for him throughout his career. He's normally been fine here. But when you've got the rest of this game, like gained nearly 8 strokes with the irons last week, gained off the tee, 10% longer than the rest of the field there, probably going to be pushing 20% longer than most of the field this week. Like if the putter gets close, he's going to sneak his way in there. And he's another guy where, even if you're not comfortable taking the outright play on him, the market makes sense if you're going even in, the top 20 range where you can still, top 20, 3-1.
I mean, terrible. he finished T11 last week at the Farmers. I only can count the 4.5 strokes he lost on the greens because I don't have data on the North course, but like, let's assume it's 5, 6, like he can, if he can get it working with the irons and drivers, which is that is his game. He only needs to be an even putter here to have a good week.
Yep. Fully agree. A couple other guys in this range. One guy that I think makes a lot of sense, obviously shorter odds than who we just talked about. I know they're dancing all over the place. You can actually get him at 54, 55-1 now for Jordan Spieth. But you want to talk about course history somewhere like T7, T9, then he missed the cut a couple times, and then T4, a 60th, and then the last 3 years, T6, T6, T4. Like Jordan Spieth turns back into Jordan Spieth on this course. Had a solid start to the year at the Sony. Gained strokes with every club throughout the bag. Distance was back, looking, trending in the right direction again for him, which I think plays well to this course. Spieth is not the player he once was. I think we all are fully aware of that. We're probably never going to get, what was it, 2015 Jordan Spieth? We're never going to see that level of Jordan Spieth again. But I do think his game is turning around in a really good way. More consistent performances towards the end of the year. Had a good stretch in the middle of the season as well after a pretty rough start. But the guy, even when he hasn't been playing well over the last few years, plays well here. So for me, like even at 45, it made sense. Now that I know I can get him at 55, I think he makes a lot of sense as a guy to sprinkle on.
I think I'm done with Jordan Spieth,
which is smart. You're
as
the
a golf better. As a fan, I will welcome all the TV drama that comes with following Jordan Spieth, but I don't know that I will deliberately pay another dollar to bet on him the rest of his career.
And that is the smart option after the way the last few years have been. Probably, again, a guy I'm more comfortable with DFS wise than, outright wise, but a guy who makes sense here. And then another guy for me, you had him included as I'm always in, so I don't need to talk about him every time. I haven't really talked about Pierceson Coody, but I'm going to do it. The guy's playing some great golf as of late, T2 last week, T18 and T13 to start the year. The putters have been good. The irons bounced back last week. The driver was an absolute weapon for him last week as well. You look at those three things, and that's what you need to play well here. I'm in.
Where did he come from last week? 68, 70, 69, 65 on the South Course on Sunday.
The day it's set up the hardest. The only day it's like that course is playing like a championship level course.
It's like him and Ryan Gerard, and Gerard finished T11 last week as well. It's like these guys are finding ways to top 20, top 15, top 10, runner up, not winning, but they're finding ways to do this every single week. And, someone for like Pierceson Coody, it's just a matter of time. So just ride it the whole year, bet him every week because he's knocking on the door. Same with Gerard. It's going to happen. We're not going to be surprised.
Yep. One last guy who, I'll talk about him and then I'll turn it back over to you. But you want to talk about riding the wave. Luckily, I rode the wave last year and it worked out and I got off at the right time. But I think I'm kind of back in on Sepp Straka at 80-1.
Good number.
And that's what it boils down to. Like, I'm still not convinced Sepp's a real person. Like, he's either dead last or like contending for a title. I swear if you look up his name in a leaderboard at any point, it's never going to be in the middle, it feels like. But especially DraftKings is so beneficial at this 80 line. I have it on Caesars here, which is where I found it originally. Caesars, he's down to 45, and DraftKings now he's at 80-1. So his line is going all over the place here, but it's a shorter course, which he tends to have success on. At the Amex last week, I know he missed the cut, but 2.32 two strokes gained on approach. He came in third at the Hero just a couple months ago. I know, a couple months in golf time is a long time. 15th here last year with just an absolutely horrid performance around the greens, which has been one of his few strengths through the end of the season. Like at 80-1, the sprinkle opportunity is there.
Is his performance correlated to how much Diet Coke he consumes? Do we know? Is he on a break? Is that why he's been disappeared for a little bit?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Where was that? I think that was the Cognizant. It's like the second he walked off of 18, someone handed him a Diet Coke on the way to the scoring table. He must have a thing.
You have to. I don't get me wrong. I love Diet Coke, so I get it. But nobody loves Diet Coke like John Daly. But that's another story for a different day. You've got another guy in this range before we get to some of the more true long shots. Maybe this was me. I don't remember.
I think we both do. I mean, I like Nick Taylor this week. Obviously, he won this tournament. He won this tournament 2 years ago, 2024, in that epic playoff with Charlie Hoffman. Like, what that guy had such a cool 2024 with some of the finishes he had. So we can go back to like, who are the total dogs here? I like getting a former champ that's got a runner-up, a win, and a 25th in the last 3 years to get him at 70-1. And he's been playing decent golf this year. Was 13th in Hawaii and then 27 at the American Express. I mean, Nick doesn't drive. doesn't drive it particularly long, but he's shown that on this golf course, and he's been putting well this year. He's putted well on this golf course. He's played terrific around the greens this year as well. So I think he's got some of the complementary things going in his game. And so I do like Nick at 70-1, and
it's actually up to 78-1 on DraftKings now.
Yeah. And so I again, when I talk about like, you trust a guy that's got it done here to get in the mix and have a chance to take down, again, we're talking about who's going to take down Scotty this week. And I think Nick is a fair guy to mix into your card.
Yeah. His irons were absolutely atrocious last week.
They were
still basically a top 25 finish at the, or not last week.
At the Amex. Yeah.
At the Amex, but they were atrocious,
which is not the case for him. That's like that he is an elite ball striker. So yeah, you just hope that's an anomaly.
Yeah, when you're looking at his history, it's an absolute fluke. But on to the long shot range here. I've got one guy, you've got two, so I'll let you start us off here.
All right. This is a guy that I have been on in DFS a couple of times already this year, and I might just keep running him out. John Parry. 170-1 earlier in the week, 200-1 now on Bet365. If you're not familiar with John Parry, he cleaned up last year on the DP World Tour, had an excellent November and December as well. Got his card through the top 10 finisher program on DP World Tour, and then shows up and has a great finish. Really started off well at the Sony, faded a little bit on the weekend, but goes 19th, 56th, 43rd in 3 events this year. And, at 170-1, if he can just have a week like he did at the Sony where he's putting out of his mind, you could see him flash. And he's kind of got, to me, he's kind of got those Matthew Pavone vibes where we have no idea who he is, but oh my God, he actually had a really good season on DP World Tour. And we're just getting the benefit of just like anonymity. So John Parry, get used to his name. I bet you're going to see him a couple times up the leaderboard this year.
And I need to point out, no relation as far as I'm aware, especially if he does pronounce it Parry, definitely no relation, because we pronounce it Parry in this household.
I guess I don't know. He's British. I have no idea how he pronounces it.
Well, our name is Welsh, so I'm assuming there is a pronunciation difference. But speaking of a guy, great year on the mini tours or the feeder tours, coming out, has a solid start to their career. I'm back in on Michael Brennan this week, especially at 270-1. It might, the way the lines have shifted, I need to double check. Yeah, it's not that good anymore. It's still 180-1. So still a very fair line, 200-1 if you go over to Caesars for it. But like when you talk about what can win this course, great iron play, mash it with the driver, keep yourself alive with the other parts of your game. He's a masher. Gains, as much as 30 at Sony, he was gaining 37% on the field with his driver. Like just an absolute masher of the golf ball. He didn't have his irons then. He didn't have, pretty much any other part of his game. At the Amex, his irons bounced back. He was off to a decent start at the Farmers, gets DQ'd because he drew a couple arrows on the green rating book. Can't do that. No. DQ. But when you look at like his statistical profile for an event like this, it lines up really well. Luckily we have some data going back just because he has played on tours that do provide us with some of that data in terms of scoring. He actually leads the field in eagle percentage over the last 18 months. He's got that upside to just snap off a 8, 9, 10 under round and sneak his way into contention. And even if you don't like him, as an outright, which 180-200-1, I don't know how you don't kind of like him a little bit. Even if you're going at like the top 20 market for him, you can get that at 5.5-1, which is still, that was the odds that we cashed on Finau with last week. I played that as a 5-unit play. You're having a pretty good weekend, week afterwards, if that hits. And he's certainly a guy who's got the scoring upside to get that number there.
Do you believe in karma?
I do.
He pays the golf gods for his mistake.
I messed up. Book. My bad.
Get paid back. We'll see.
All right. Yeah. It looks like you have one more player here before we get out of here.
Yeah, I'll give you one more. I will throttle how often I talk about Tommy Tables, Tom Hoge on the show.
You
Here's the
don't
deal.
have to. I love him.
Yeah, well, that's great because you and I are going to have a lot to talk about. Here's the deal. You both talked about Kurt Kitayama a lot as a guy that he had some run-ins in the past. I am by nowhere near Tom's atmosphere, but he and I did. He's from Fargo, North Dakota, and so there was a time when we were crossing paths in some of the amateur tournaments in the Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota amateur stuff. And so it's really cool to see a guy like actually start turning a pretty successful journeyman career. He's got one under his belt, but start to like show up and compete. He's had a nice finish at the Players Championship in the past. He's actually played pretty well at Sawgrass in general. And so I do like him on this golf course. Here's the funny thing. You're looking at Tom's history. I mean, Tom basically he just can't be terrible on the greens. Like this guy can flat out hit it with his irons, but he will lose them putting. Last 6 years at the WM Phoenix Open, he was cut last year. Then he was 17th. Then he was cut. Then he was 14th. Then he was cut. Then he was 25th. So what's going to happen this year? He was cut last year. I see a pattern. This feels like a slam dunk top 25.
That's what I'm saying. I follow the
like
trend.
It just has to work out this way. This is a golf course that he should be able to play well on, given his stat profile. And I actually am starting to look more into the winner without market. And if you look at these winners without Scotty Scheffler markets, you're not taking that much of a cut to give up. Tom goes down to I think he could be DraftKings. I think had him 280 to 1 without Scotty. So like I kind of can see any of these guys, Brennan, Hoge, Parry. Like these guys can sneak into that second place position, even if Scotty's off and running with this thing. So this will be my plug for Hoge for February. He'll come back in March when we get the Players Championship. I'll talk about him again.
I love it. And DraftKings odds, as we've found out multiple times, even more favorable if you want to sprinkle on him this week. He's up to 330 to 1 right now. So it makes a lot of sense. But guys, that has been another week of the 19th hole. Mike, remind the people where they can find you.
Yeah, I do a little bit of work still with reading the green, and we are doing this expert consensus model. So, surprise, here's another guy we didn't mention, Adam Schenk, plus 550. He's sneaking up in our DFS consensus rankings among about a dozen experts in the community. So we love to track what all the talking heads are talking about each week. So check out us on X. And we will post a little bit of content there around DFS. Otherwise, I'm trying to get in the mix more here with the in between 19th hole and hopefully do a few other contributions. So looking forward to getting in the mix with you guys.
Well, we love having you on the team. But guys, that has been another week. If you liked this week's episode, make sure you like the video, share it with your friends, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, join the golf family again. Don't miss out on everything that we have going on over there. Get in the one and done while you still have the chance. Until the first person tees off, you can get in over there. But this has been another week of a great time talking about golf. Let's go make some money, and do not forget to tell somebody that you love them.